Welcome to r/cheating stories, where we get to hear the saddest cheating stories. He called me. I, 23F, recently broke up with my boyfriend, 26 meters, after he cheated on me with this woman, 31F. She's been taunting me on social media, and I actually deleted my socials yesterday because I could no longer handle my friends tagging me in shit whenever she insulted me. This woman made fun of my physique. I'm slim, and she has a big ass, and my car. I drive a normal car, which is apparently illegal in Miami. Like, I appreciated them trying to alert me to her mockery or whatever, but it wasn't helping. He was all love-a-dove with her on social media because they'd decided to get together after I left, presumably to piss me off. However, he must be sick of her already because he called me asking how I was doing. He actually adopted a tone of voice, like he was concerned, and I'm sure in his own way he was. But like, dude, you are the reason I'm mad. He called me and asked how I was doing. He said he was concerned because I had deleted my Instagram. I told him, why the fuck do you think I deleted my Instagram? He told me that the app was out of line. You let her be out of line. Also, you were out of line for fucking this seasoned skeezer in our bed. Not to be ageist, but if I know better at 23, she should sure as hell know better at 31. And then he told me he missed me. I wish I had been all badass with it when I told him to fuck off. But I wasn't. I cried while I told him to fuck off. He attempted to explain himself, and I hung up. Now for the next story. Great marriage until my wife dies. Realized infidelity after she died. Swept it under the rug for the kids' sake. Now it's back to haunt me. My an extrovert, and I, an introvert, started dating in our mid-20s. We both had our fill of one-night stands and cheating partners. 3 years later we were married. We were best friends that had a lot of fun and couldn't keep our hands off each other. DNA left in 4 countries and half the states. On my 34th birthday I gave her a ring box with a note asking if she would quit her birth control so we could have a baby together. She jumped into my arms and kissed me until I lost my balance and fell to the floor, the happiest I'd ever seen her. She took me into the bedroom, past the bed, into the bathroom where we flushed her remaining pills. Over the next 5 years, we lost 3 pregnancies. This hurt us both deeply. We talked and decided to adopt. The process is long, but in our early 40s we watched our daughter, be born. The sparkle was back in her eye. The next 8 years were wonderful. My was the kindest, most empathetic mother I'd ever seen. All of our friends told me how lucky I was. At 50 my asked me to get a vasectomy to lessen the chance of another unwanted pregnancy. I had a bad case of the flu the week of my snip, and I had to cancel. My got the same flu from me the next week. She wouldn't let me take her to the hospital, but I finally took her to the emergency room, where she had a stroke that lapsed into a coma. 6 horrible days later she passed away. Both and myself were devastated. It took almost a year before she would sleep in her own bed. She said she was afraid I'd leave too. Soon I received her credit card statements in her name. We always had common finances. The balance for both cards was just shy of $14,000, mostly in cash advances. I sent for all of the back statements. This got me thinking about the last year. Sex life went from normal, down to once every week or two, to me giving and not getting head but no penetration. She also had a few new foreplay tricks she'd never used before. We also went from talking over everything at dinner to barely talking by the end of the year. Then to the point she would avoid talking to me at all. All we had was a landline with 2 phones. She would get mysterious late calls, and the caller ID register was always cleared. Completely not normal. She went from a girls' night every week or two to girls' night twice a week by the end of the year. Her dress for girls' night also went from jeans and a sweater to being dolled up by the end of the year. She would even get her hair done sometimes. Then I got total confirmation of her affair in the mail again. I was blissfully ignorant and enjoyed the one-on-one time with playtime, bath time, chasing her until she would go to bed, then story time and kiss her on the forehead goodnight. After a couple years of grieving and obsessing, my company offered me a job far away, and I jumped at it. I pretty much just swept everything under the rug and we left. Fast forward 10 years and I start having these very vivid dreams that I remembered for days. My so would be dressed beautifully, dancing and kissing her app. They would go to their room, strip in front of me, and throw their clothes on me, like I was a cuck, then screw in front of me, and laugh at my misery. I finally went to a Nike who told me that I never got closure on my so's affair. I, 64, just retired and am 22, wants to move back to our hometown. I'm hesitant because I still don't know who the app is, and I don't want to be nice to the sob that screwed my wife. I would be surprised if app was outside our circle of friends. I also don't want em looking up to someone who screwed her mother. Should I ask so's best friend who app is? She would know. Should I dig all this back up? I'm obsessing again. I thought all of this was behind me. Please let me know. Now for the next story. I'm hurt. I, 23F, recently went through an awful breakup. I found out my ex, 26 meters, had slept with this woman, 31F, in our bed, in the home we shared. I found out when one of my friends sent me a link to an Instagram photo the app had taken in our bed. By the way, the app had previously tried to befriend me, but I'd heard bad things about her from mutual acquaintances and steered clear. I guess she just wanted to be me. I deleted my Instagram a few hours ago because she was taunting me on social media, mocking my body. I'm slim, and my ex is a butt guy, and car. I drive a 2018 Nissan Sentra. The horror. I ended the relationship, and I guess to get back at me, they've been all coupled up on social media. I just couldn't deal with it anymore, and deleted my socials. I asked my friends not to text me links to her latest subs. One of them was a close-up of her ass in a thong bikini and the caption was something like no question about what I have that she doesn't. I'd been living in Miami with old dude for about a year now. We broke up on Sunday, and I'm currently crashing with my mom in New York for the time being. Luckily, I'm self-employed and financially independent, so I'm looking at apartments. In the meantime, my mom really likes having someone to go grocery shopping with. I tell myself that I'll survive this, as I always do, but I still feel broken. I truly loved my ex. He was about to get arrested at a protest last year and I threw my body in front of his, so they arrested me instead. I fucking got arrested for this and great. I thought he loved me too. But if he's willing to allow her to body shame and mock me like this, and if he disrespects me enough to fuck another woman in our bed, did he ever really love me at all? Was it all a lie? How will I ever trust another man again? This was also my first serious live-in relationship, so it's adding a whole new layer of betrayal to the situation. Now for the next story. Boyfriend of almost 6 years got drunk, blacked out and cheated. Says he doesn't remember. My boyfriend received a message from a girl who asked him if he was clean and had been tested. She said they hooked up back in December at a party. My boyfriend was completely surprised and called me right away to tell me. He says he doesn't remember because he passed out. I remember that night too. He was completely wasted and wouldn't answer my calls. He messaged me the next day in the morning telling me he was very tired. He told me he didn't feel good and regretted drinking so much. Apparently the girl said my BF was laying down in bed and she laid down next to him. She gave him a blowjob and then she fell asleep. I don't know what to do or how to move forward with this. Help. Now for the next story. Girlfriend of 4 years cheated on me and wants to fix it. No idea what to do. Help. I met my current girlfriend 4 years ago when we were both teaching English in Vietnam. Lived together there and traveled to tons of countries together. Tons of affection and laughs, and planning having a family and getting married. We moved back to the US last year and started a new life together here in Arizona. The transition came with tons of turbulence as we didn't quite agree or communicate well on where to go or what to do next. I kept offering ideas and she didn't participate much, but just shot down most of my ideas and didn't help. We have both been working hard this last year and trying to get our businesses set up. It hasn't been as fun or exciting as it was when we lived abroad and there have been some arguments, but definitely hasn't been bad or unhealthy. Anyway, I read a journal of hers about a month ago and found out that she has had some sort of relationship with a hotshot real estate guy who we both know and see on hikes we attend every weekend. I grilled her for details and never really got the truth out of her. She claims it was just flirty messages back and forth and was quite fizzled out by the time I discovered the whole thing. After more investigating and persistence, I discovered that she and he had been sending each other nudes and having sexual conversations a few times, but nothing physical happened. I believe that nothing physical happened because her journal said several things about holding out and not giving in, so I feel confident that she didn't allow for that to happen, but still crossed several other boundaries. So, I lost my shit and told her we are done, and she has been falling apart and telling me it was the worst mistake of her life and didn't really mean anything. She got caught up in all of the attention she was getting from this guy, which she said she felt was missing for a while. She has been telling me she will do anything and everything to gain my trust back, and it was the worst mistake ever. We are going to a couples therapist, and she is taking the blame. Before, she was blaming some of my behavior and admitting it was a huge mistake and an error. She is also letting me talk about it as much as I want and ask questions in order to gain clarity. I just feel confused about this situation and mix of hurt / betrayed / disrespected, but also I miss her and the way the relationship was. I know people do get through these kinds of things, but I imagine it comes with a lot of issues and resentment and a long time. I do love her and sense that she feels it was a fuck up, but my heart and mind are all over the place. If anyone can give me their honest opinion on how to move forward, it would be greatly appreciated. Now for the next story. I was cheated on, and now I punish myself. Hi all, this is more of a confession than a story, but I was cheated on in a previous relationship, and even now all this time later I'm hurting myself about it. So I first got with my 21 ex 22 years ago, and safe to say it was a toxic relationship. She left me several times in the relationship, just breaking up with me on a whim, getting back together a week or so later. Emotionally abusive, and on a few rare occasions, physically abusive. After a year together, and on my first day at the local uni, she broke up with me over text. Whereas normally I'd beg for her back, not my proudest moment, she had broken me down. This time I simply said okay, and went with it. I tried to move on, and for a while I thought I had. A few months later I got with my now current partner. We've been together for over a year, and haven't had a single argument, couldn't be happier. But, around the time I got with my current partner, 22, I found out from an ex-friend that my ex had gotten with her friend's boyfriend the weekend before she left me, and it broke me. I didn't love her anymore, but I felt so gut-wrenchingly betrayed. It made me question the whole relationship more than I already did, and made me feel like an idiot. Again, I don't love her anymore, but I still look at her socials rarely. Not sure why I do it. I don't miss her, but I think it's more that I'm punishing myself and remind myself of the idiot I was. In the same vein, sometimes I look at cuck and cheating erotica / stories. I don't find them hot. In fact, I find them repulsive, with me reading them and getting upset until I can't take any more. Anyone else would have gotten over it by now. We've been separated for 20 months and have had no contact for 17, and yet I still punish myself. I can't stop looking at these stories, reminding myself of the pain, and it's like I have no way of stopping it. Despite me being massively in love with my current girlfriend, our relationship is the best and intend on spending the rest of our lives with each other. But yeah, needed a place to vent. If you read this, then thank you. I'm sure there's some deep psychological root for why I do this, besides my diagnosed anxiety, but I'm sure I'll break the cycle one day. Now for the next story. Help. Hi guys. My boyfriend and I are both 25, and we started dating around 8 months ago during the pandemic. I truly believe we are meant to be. We have the best connection, and it feels right when we are together. But he used to sports bet all the time to where he owed people money. It was an issue. I got him to stop gambling, and he hasn't gambled since I threatened to break up with him. I know I go through all his stuff lol. Now 3 months into our relationship, I went through his phone and I found him messaging all these women, and some were even trans people on this site FetLife, through a Google Voice app. He was in a way sexting them and would try to hang, but would just say that and would stop talking to them. I was so hurt and basically left him, and he came on my doorstep crying through whole shabam trying to explain. He told me he would do therapy since he never did it before, and he said during COVID he was in his room drinking in a dark place and would get bored with normal porn and was curious about the trans people. so that's why he would message them. He said he took it too far and didn't realize how bad of a problem it was, and it was almost always when he was drinking he would go on there. The therapist told him that his dad ghosting him at 19 has really had a bad effect on him, and he told me this is the first time he is working on himself, and he will continue to work on himself and do whatever it takes to keep me. He also promised he never did anything in person with the girls. So 3 months pass, everything is fine. I randomly decide to look through his mail, and I see there's an party for that website FetLife in Nick for swingers, and he messaged the girl and said, how is it sad I couldn't be there, maybe I will join the next one. And so I was like, WTF. He told me he would never go to any of those things, he's just curious about them, and was just curious so he asks. And he admitted to me he had a weak moment, he re-downloaded FetLife, but instantly deleted it after cause he felt like garbage. So I chose to go deeper into his Google voice messages from 3 months ago when I found him sexting the girls, and I found that during that time before one of the girls likes to show up at guys' houses and they come on her face and she leaves, and in the messages he was like, no sex, right? Just coming, and she was like, yeah. I was so hurt that he did this with someone else while dating me, and I was breaking up with him, and he told me that he buried that so deep in his brain cause it was so awful, and that was in the time he was in a bad place messaging people and drinking, and he is done with all that now. I still said no. Bye. Then he went to the therapist that day and she said he has something called self-sabotage, where he doesn't believe he deserves good things, me, so he sabotages and ruins them because his dad ghosted him, so he doesn't believe he deserves anything good. And she said he has an addictive personality. He begged me to stay, said that now he is aware of the issue he will never do it again since he never knew, and to please give him another shot. He said it was from the past, and since he didn't touch her he didn't think it was that bad in his mind, then yada yada. He told me for me to trust him, he would give me all his passwords, so he did. Fast forward to 2 months later, I become insecure and consistently ask him when's the next time he will do this to me. Has bound to, and go a little crazy, constantly feel upset about it all. I knew something wasn't right. We hang 24/7, and he told me he needs alone time sometimes for like a day to be with himself, but we can talk on the phone yada yada, cause I clearly have codependency issues lol, but him over here not sleeping going through a rough time cause I quit Adderall trying to do my day job, and I wanted him to be there for me more, and he wasn't, so we fought about that, and he said he would get better at it once I get back from my girls trip this week. I went on girls trip and went to my fam's home. I get to my fam's home, he's constantly like, I miss you, come home, oh let's go to Jersey, this and that. And he helps me pay for my ticket back same day. I had a therapy app and my therapist was like, tell your boyfriend to watch the drinking, it leads to bad things. I told him, and he was so annoyed. He was like, I'm exhausted, I had to wake up so early to work, and now you're telling me to stop drinking yada yada, I'll work on it, okay. I was like, okay sorry, didn't mean to make you stressed after work. Then we're texting, and has like, I miss you, and helps me buy my ticket back home to see him. He texts me him taking my contacts out, good night, and him just like, maybe we should get the password switched, it's not healthy for me to have them, and you're building trust back. He was like, say good night, haha. I instantly see he switched his Gmail password. I was like, WTFY, did you do that? That's sketchy. I had his work email he didn't know about, and saw he called an Uber on it, and moved Uber notifications to that email. Point I call, he doesn't answer. He finally FaceTimes me, and says has getting Zine. I'm like, no you're not, I have no idea where that is, and then he was like, I lied. I did drink today, after telling you I didn't, and I was going to that Asian massage place, but him turning around. And I said we are over, and hung up. He called me 10 times, I didn't answer. I told his mom everything, and because I broke up with him he still went to the happy ending place and got the H***ND job. He is now in therapy for his issues and in this program called SAFE. He told me he is going to change for not only himself, but so he can be with me again. I hope me leaving is a wake-up call for him to fix and address his issues. He's clearly heartbroken now. He said he thought he had his issues under control, but felt under a microscope with me having his passwords, and believes he was actually burying them deep and not dealing with them, and he said he has never done anything like this before. Does anyone know of any success stories where people with, I guess, addiction self-sabotage issues, whatever the issues are, fix them alone and come back to their significant other better. Really feeling down right now and need some sort of hope. Thanks if you read all this. I love you. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it and have a nice day.